Welcome to the regularly scheduled Cranston City Council meeting for the month of January. Today is Monday, January 22nd. At this time, I'd ask the clerk to please call the attendance.
Councilman Ferry, Councilwoman Renzulli,
Present.
Councilwoman Jermaine, Councilman Donegan, Councilman Campopiano,
Present.
Councilman Paplaskas,
Present.
Councilman Wall,
Here.
Council Vice President Vargas,
Present.
Council President Marino.
Present. I would like to note this evening that Councilman Donegan has a previously committed work commitment this evening and will not be in attendance. And Councilman Ferry has a family priority matter this evening, which is why he is not in attendance this evening. At this time, if you will join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Right. First on the agenda is the approval of minutes. We have the approval of the minutes of December 18th regular council meeting, the sealed minutes of December 18th, and the approval of the minutes of the December 19th meeting. I will ask for a motion to take these as a block.
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion? There being none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Renzulli.
Yes.
Councilman Campopiano,
Yes.
Councilman Paplaskas,
Yes.
Councilman Wall,
Yes.
Council Vice President Vargas.
Yes.
Council President Marino.
Yes. Now entertain a motion to approve the block.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? There being none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Renzulli,
Yes.
Councilman Campopiano,
Yes.
Councilman Paplaskas,
Yes.
Councilman Wall,
Yes.
Council Vice President Vargas.
Yes.
Council President Marino.
Yes. Before moving on to public comment, I want to make note of a scrivener's error on page 3. At the top of the page where it says 11-23-01 ordinance, that should be noted as reporting out of ordinance committee. And that was approved by the ordinance committee on January, I believe it was 11th. Okay. At this time, we will take public comment on docketed matters only. We will ask people, whether on Zoom or in chambers, to please state your name and address for the record. Please keep your comments limited to 4 minutes, and we will first take public comment on docketed matters in chambers. Please step up to the podium. Is there anyone in chambers that wishes to be heard on any docketed matters this evening? Okay. There being no one, Tom, is there anyone on Zoom that wishes to be heard on any docketed matters?
Annette Bourne. They are in the meeting.
Good evening. I'm speaking as a docketed matter because I'm noting that Director Pizzullo is under executive communications regarding the comprehensive plan. So is this the appropriate time for my remarks, or would I be under undocketed?
That should be fine according to the council attorney.
Okay, thank you. So my name is Annette Bourne. I reside at 51 Community Drive. I just wanted to commend Director Pizzullo and his staff, as well as the consulting team, on getting the comprehensive plan website up and running. I hope all of you have availed yourselves of the various tools that are on the website, including the engagement process, which allows for mapping of sites and comments and questions. I am disappointed at the cancellation of the January 24th public charrette. My understanding of the ordinance, I would have not read it that same way, but I'm not a lawyer. I see it as a public workshop, having participated in many of these around the state. and been present at many workshops where many planners from all around the region have conducted these. It is hard to understand how it could be conducted in any sort of hybrid or public manner. I concern myself that if a Zoom link is posted for such a meeting, it would be of great concern to somebody because they would log in and they would really not be able to participate. The city of Providence, I believe, held 12 public workshops. These are dynamic, hands-on meetings. If you have never participated in one, I would urge you to reach out to your colleagues in other cities and towns to talk about the process. So I do look forward to this kind of public engagement here in the city. It is a great opportunity for us to be live in person. And again, hats off to the planning department and the consultant for keeping us on track for at least getting us through this first phase of the comprehensive plan, which is a very critical part of the future of our city and all of its residents. Thank you.
Greg Norton.
Hello, my name is Greg Nordine. I am a resident of, I live at 77 Edgewood Avenue. And I am offering comment tonight on item 14 regarding waste management contracts. I have recently noticed that it seems like the quality of trash collection in Cranston, at least in my neighborhood, has significantly declined. It's not uncommon that trash is left after collection spread all over the ground, finding trash cans regularly broken. Oftentimes trash isn't even fully emptied, like the cans will be half full. I called Department of Public Works to see what was going on, and it doesn't sound like they actually even have a method to actually ensure that the contract is, or that the trash collection is occurring effectively. They just wanted to refer me over to Waste Management, which is fine, but I'm more interested in understanding how the city is evaluating their trash collection and whether or not the quality of that trash collection is taken into account, and just trying to understand why trash collection has gotten significantly worse. I have spoken with 5 of my neighbors after talking to the city, to DPW. I spoke with 5 of my neighbors. Every single one of them is having issues with trash collection as well. Of those 5, all 5 of them have had their trash barrels damaged in some way, wheels missing, lids missing, cracks in the bins. It just seems like trash collection is getting significantly worse lately. Just want to understand why. Thank you.
Drake Patton.
Good evening, Drake Patton, 684 Natick Avenue. I wasn't intending to speak on anything tonight, but I heard Annette's comment that the workshop has been canceled, and I guess having worked to get people there, I wasn't aware of that, and I'm wondering, could anyone share any more details on that? I guess that was just news to me tonight and super disappointing to learn that. Thank you.
To the chair, I see no one with their raised hand at this time that's new. Just a reminder to the public, please use the raise hand function in Zoom or the Q&A if you have a technical issue. I see no further public comment.
Thank you, Tom. Next this evening is reports of committees. Councilwoman Germain, as Chair of Claims Committee, will be reporting out since she's not here this evening. I'll just make note that there's nothing to report out of committee. There were no votes taken at that time. Next, we have report out of Finance Committee. I'd ask Council Vice President Vargas to who serves as the Vice Chair. Thanks.
Thank you, Council. Sorry, I was going to call you Council Vice President, Council President Marino. Finance Committee met On January 8th, first item was a consideration of tax interest waivers approval for the month of December 2023, as requested by the city treasurer. Pass anonymously, and I urge passage this evening.
Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? There being none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Renzulli.
Yes.
Councilman Donegan. Oh, he's not here, sorry. Councilman Campopiano.
Yes.
Councilman Paplaskas.
Yes.
Councilman Wall.
Yes.
Council Vice President Vargas.
Yes.
Council President Marino.
Yes.
The next item under the Finance Committee took place was the resolution authorizing real estate tax abatement as recommended by the tax assessor. This passed out of committee. And
Oh. Bring it up.
can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Do you want me to repeat it again? Or are we good? Did you hear me? No? Okay. So this passed out of committee at the Finance Committee, and I urge passage.
Thanks. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve the real estate tax abatements.
Second.
Any discussion? There being none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Renzulli.
Yes.
Councilman Campopiano.
Yes.
Councilman Paplaskas.
Yes.
Councilman Wall.
Yes.
Council Vice President Vargas.
Yes.
Council President Marino.
Yes. Next this evening, Council Vice President Vargas is the Ordinance Committee.
Thank you, Council President. Yes, Ordinance Committee met on January 11, 2024. The item that was heard and passed was 11-2301, Ordinance Amendment of Title 10, Chapter 32, Section 225 of the City of Cranston Code of Ordinance 2005, entitled No Parking in Commercial Vehicles, sponsored by Councilman Campopiano. This is approved by the by the Ordinance Committee, and I urge passage.
Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Councilman Campopiano.
Yes, a few of the businesses reached out to me on Amplex Drive and said there's a nuisance of trailers that are left unattended and parked for weeks on end. And it went to traffic, and traffic recommended the type sign that would go up, and I urge passage tonight.
No, and we did get the traffic study, correct? Yep.
Yes.
All right. No further discussion. Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Renzulli.
Yes.
Councilman Campopiano.
Yes.
Councilman Paplaskas.
Yes.
Councilman Wall.
Yes.
Council Vice President Vargas.
Yes.
Council President Marino.
Yes. Next this evening is public comment for undocketed items, whether in chambers or on Zoom. If you could please state your name and address for the record, and please keep your comments limited to 4 minutes. At this time, we will take comment in chambers. Thank you. No, there's a button there. You press it and it will be green. Okay, you're good. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, members of the Cranston City Council. My name is Diana Gordon. I live at 85 Briggs Street in Cranston. I have returned to Cranston after leaving 14 years ago to live in North Carolina, financial reasons. I was head of the Central Cranston Crime Watch here in Cranston. It was the largest crime watch and the second largest city in Rhode Island. At one meeting in Park Cinema, over 130 people attended. With our Crime Watch street captains, the police, we stopped many potential and active break-ins. We also taught the residents how to protect their homes and families. A situation has come up since that concerns me. I moved into senior housing, and as I was moving in, several people told me that there was drug users also living there. They told me not to talk to anyone and not to let anyone in my apartment. They also told me that these people would break in and that for certain illegal drugs. If you mentioned that, they would take them. I have had numerous break-ins. and I didn't mention drugs. I have called the housing authority and told them, and they said to contact the police. I have written and verbally given them many reports, but they have told me to contact the housing authority. It seems no one is able to help me. It is a revolving door to nowhere, and it is absolutely frightening. Last week, I met two women at my doctor's office waiting room and found out that I was not the only person having these problems. They lived in North Providence in another senior housing. One got a restraining order to keep her harassers away and then went to court. Unfortunately, the judge gave a restraining order to both. The only trouble is that the harasser kept harassing her and she cannot do anything to stop them. I ask you, would you want your mother, father, grandmother, aunt, or uncle to be put in that situation, or yourself? I don't think anyone would. Unfortunately, the public does not know this is happening, and that's why I'm here. I spoke with one of the police, and he told me that the legislature passed a law allowing them, the drug users, to rent in senior housing. He also told me that there are more drug users in Knightsville Manor than the elderly. They have a nickname for the manor, the Crack Motel. I know a lot of people in the Auburn area. I had a business there, Antiques in the Attic. Recently, I spoke to an important business owner here. I will not mention his name, but he said that he knew about this and also added, it's like sending a fox into the hen house. I know that the legislature passed the law, not you, but this is a public forum. Speak up, council, for us, to the legislature. These people the drug users also need help, but provide them a place away from the vulnerable seniors and physically handicapped. Make our golden years happy ones. I will start actively coming to the council meetings like I did in the past. I find it informative. I would also like to start another crime watch. Thank you. Please help us.
Good evening. My name is Susan Blake. I live at 173 Grand Avenue in Cranston. I'd like to thank you for your time here tonight and for allowing me a few minutes to speak with you about the future. It's uncertain. It was 2 weeks ago tonight that I stood here and I asked the Finance Committee, where's the Budlong Pool bid? What's the delay? Mr. Moretti again kicked the can down the road and said it would be very soon, very soon. As of today, no bid yet, no RFP, and in fact, it took a look into the BOCAP agenda for tomorrow evening to find anything pertaining to the situation, and lo and behold. Secoshia and Associates, the architects hired to design the mayor's tiny pool, is named in an informational item on that agenda. It's a change order for $12,100. Can anyone here tonight explain to me how an architect who has already pocketed $350,000 in multiple contracts with this city in 2023, related just to the Budlong Pool alone, would need to nickel and dime the city for changes when they are well past the due date for delivering bid documents? The very same documents that were supposedly ready to roll 5 months ago, 4 months ago, 3 months ago, 2 months ago, a month ago, 2 weeks ago. What's going on? You're either ready or you're stalling. And it seems clear to me that the city is stalling for Secoshia and Associates while being squeezed for more money. In the business world, when I signed a contract, it was for a finite services or goods. And I understand that changes come around. But this is very late in an overdue project, and I come to you tonight representing every single concerned and angry citizen who are the real customers. The mayor personally isn't the customer. It's the city of Cranston. And the mayor may have authority over how the new tiny pool will be built, But he is not the only voice that will be heard. Test me. Oh, and the original Budlong Pool? It's now full, completely full, and it's frozen. And when water freezes, it expands. Pipes crack, pools crack. And when it warms up or it rains a whole bunch on top of that ice, you will have flooding due to an overflow and a containment failure. There could be impacts on the watershed that the Budlong campus sits on. It could contaminate the Pecasset River, which flows behind the campus. And how much will that cost the city to clean up? Let's just get ahead of this and continue and not let it languish and stall in apathy and power grabs. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Patricia Lannon. I live at 132 Fordson Avenue, Unit 4. I have many concerns about the flooding that took place over the last 2 months with the Pecasset River and our complex. One of the things that bothers me the most right now is trash removal. We have 16 families that are being displaced out of their units. We have to remove all our personal contents, all our belongings. Personally, we have lost many of our possessions. We spent $2,000 today to have trash furniture removed. Waste management is not coming unless our property manager calls them and arranges a pickup. They should be there every day removing our goods. It's sad enough and hard enough to watch everything you own be thrown away. I understand it's personal to me, but all of us, not only those that are displaced, the residents who live in the second and third floor units have had to be taken out by boats twice over the last 2 months. At least the city could do is get there and remove the trash. At the end of this, I just want to commend the Cranston Fire Department, the Red Cross, and all the people that have been there when we've been evacuated. They've been so helpful, and so I'm so appreciative for their concern. Thank you.
My name is Dante Marinaro. I am also from Riverview. I'm sorry? Oh, I'm sorry, Dante Marinaro. I am also from Riverview Terrace, 132 Unit 3. And the reason I came over here is actually to talk about the flood. And I came to the town and I stopped at the Department of Public Works to find out what were the plans that the city had on this situation. This unit flood in December, Christmas time, on January the 10th. And I know for a fact I wasn't here at that time that in 2010 was a big disaster. I was told by Department of Public Works that the city has no plans with this river at all. And I asked why, because it belongs to FEMA and the state. I have a feeling that you guys as city members have the obligation to push some agenda to fix this problem with these units. Regarding my neighbor, Pat, and the trash, it's terrible that you guys, I understand that DPW was called and pretty much it was said, there's nothing that we can do, everybody was tied up. It's terrible that you guys cannot help people that is in trouble and taxpayers of this city. I very appreciate that you guys do something about it. This is not just a one-day thing. When I bought this unit 7 years ago, that's what I thought. 2010, single event. It's not a single event, especially when the river is not being controlled or is controlled somewhere else. This flood on January 10, it took an hour to literally raise about a couple feet. An hour. That tells me that somebody, somewhere, that water was retained until it was released. That was too quickly, too soon, and a very sunny day, no rain. So I hope that you guys come back with something, at least some ideas of how to resolve and help us out on this. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Dawn White, and I also live at 132 Forson Avenue, right above Pat, okay? I'm a former New Yorker, and I survived 9/11. This pushed me over the edge. I have never in my life experienced anything like this. I was also taken out by a boat. The flooding happened so quick, you couldn't even get your car off the property before the front because it was overloaded. Now, we have drains in two spots, or actually also by the stream with the Patuxent River, okay? Where that water came from, it was unbelievable, out of control, because I went to move for the second flooding to get my car off the property and couldn't get through the front because that area was so flooded, unbelievable, that it was almost as high as my windows to my car. So I wasn't going through that water. So I then had to park my car back, okay? And I had to sit there and wait until somebody can get me back to my property, to pack a suitcase to get off the property. Back to back, we were warned December 24th, Christmas Eve, that they were shutting down our electricity, not our electricity, our heat and our gas. And it was our options whether or not we wanted to stay or leave. Due to having rheumatoid arthritis and had both my knees replaced, I could not stand to stay in my unit for that length of time because did not know when it was going to be turned back on again. Then I went, left for a couple of days, came back, and almost, a week later, it happened again. And this time I was taken out by a boat, which devastated me. Although my unit doesn't have damage as far as in my condo, I do have damage with my car. I have to worry about how I'm going to get my transportation to get around to doctor's appointments. On top of it, I have to worry about the mold that is coming up through the apartments that were on the first floor. You walk into our units and the hallways smell atrocious. Again, the trash is unbelievable too. You can't even, for people who are not affected as far as losing their furniture or their personal possessions, I get it. It's devastating. My heart goes out to all of them. But for the people who are still trying to stay on the premises, we can't even empty out trash. And nobody's working with us to try to resolve the issues. We're trying to do the best that we can, but I would expect a little bit more help from the city to figure out what directions we take or what safety precautions we take in the interim. Like I said, 9/11 was bad enough for me living in New York, but this pushed me over the edge because I thought I was coming up here to start all over again. And this disaster, I have no words for it, but I'd like to know, what are the guidelines? What do we do to protect ourselves? What happens if this happens again? Because the Patuxent River, it's going to be an ongoing problem. So what do we do as far as our property to provide us, to block it somehow that it doesn't come back in and wipe us out? Because the next time there's not going to be anything left. I'll be honest with you. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Maureen, and I live on Payne Avenue. Pardon me? Mangione, Mangione, Mangione. And I live on Payne Avenue in Cranston here. And my heart does go out to all these people who have lost what they've lost. So I feel kind of ridiculous coming up here and talking about my itty bitty problem. But I'm going to do it because I've been living in the same place for 20 years. And I'm just speaking for the whole friendly community here. Sidewalks need to be clean. It's ridiculous. You got the elderly trying to walk their dogs. You got little kids trying to play out in the street. You got, I have a mentally challenged autistic adult sister that lives at home. Her one pet peeve is to walk the dog every day, but 3 times a day. She can't even do that. I got to do it. I don't mind doing it. It's my sister. I'll do anything for her. But according to the ordinance in Providence and Cranston, snow must be removed by the property owner. I'm a property owner. I have a 2-family. I make sure driveway is clear, walkway is clear. I have a tenant. He needs to get in and out. That's my job. That's what I'm supposed to do. The path, not less than the width of the entire border. Fire hydrants, why we have to clean fire hydrants, I have no idea. We don't own them. They're not ours. They belong to the city. Same thing with the sidewalks. This is what everybody's asking. Why are we cleaning the sidewalks? They're not ours. Nothing gets done with these sidewalks. They're broken. You can't plow. You can't take your snow blower and go through it because the sidewalks are all broken, uneven. Like I said, I've lived there 20 years. This is my 3rd time complaining about this, but this is my 1st time coming in front of a committee to do something about it. And I feel bad for everybody that lives in the friendly community. The only way things get done in any place is that if there is an election, because everybody wants to get reelected, or you go to Channel 12. I hope and I pray that I do not have to go to Channel 12 for this. Somebody tell us what we can do, what we need to do. I've told people, hey, look, can you just clear a little path? Or, even the kids, they're taking a bus. Where do they have to stand now? They have to stand in the middle of the street. Not only that, you got people speeding up and down the street. I was told by the Cranston police, this is what I was told by the Cranston police. I called them one day and I said, hey, look, what can we do about the speeding up and down the street? 20 mile an hour zone, 25 mile zone. You got people going 40, 45 miles an hour. Maybe we could put a speed bump. Oh, everybody thinks the speed bump is the answer. You know what you can do for us? Why don't you sit outside and take license plates of the people who are driving by? That's what the police told me to do. Thank you.
Hi there, my name is Rain Robb. I'm also a resident of Riverview Terrace, 131 Fordson Avenue. I would also like to know what is being done about the river flooding. Like Dante said, the water came up so fast. It was super alarming. If I didn't go to the gym in the morning to get my car out, when I came back from the gym in 1 hour, the parking lot was unable to get into. And luckily I left in the morning. I feel so bad for everybody who had their cars in there. But what is going on with the river? I mean, 2010, it was bad, but then for 10 years, it hasn't flooded like this. So I'm not sure what's going on, but I'm a bartender, so I hear everybody talking about the T.O. Dam and all of these things, and all of the misinformation that I'm getting is overwhelming, not to mention having to find somewhere to live in the meantime, get all of our stuff out. All of the residents on the first floor, 16 or 24 units have been affected, and the trash is unacceptable. But at this point, it's like we all have to move out. So do we move back in the hopes that it's not going to flood again? How can we be sure? I mean, I understand that we live next to a river, and I get that, but it hasn't flooded like this in the 7 years that I've lived there. So what is going on? And also the manhole in front of the parking lot. My landlord's always telling me, oh, they have to clear the manhole. They have to clear the manhole. What is happening? Can we do something about that? Thank you for your time.
Excuse me, if I may. I want to clarify that the flood, Dante Marinaro, 132 Forson Avenue, Unit 3. I need to clarify that the flood wasn't only related to the condominium, but it flooded also the side streets Actually, when you come down on Forsyth Avenue, you cannot drive not even to the intersection because that street over the right-hand side was completely flooded, almost probably more over the next side street. And I gotta also say, I forgot and apologize, the fire department was great. Thank you.
If anybody was interested, I have tons of pictures to show you how bad we got. I'd be more than happy to share them.
Hi, everybody. My name is Julie Garrett. I'm a public affairs specialist for the Office of Disaster Assistance and Resilience with the U.S. Small Business Administration. My address is 2550 Horde Street, Madison, Wisconsin, 53704. And I'm here tonight and I'm listening to everybody, and my heart goes out to the people who are dealing with this. To get flooded out twice in a month, I can't imagine what that's like. But I'm here to talk to you about a flood that happened in September, because there is a disaster declaration for that. So that was the flooding that happened September 10th to the 13th. And there is a presidential disaster declaration for that now, with FEMA and SBA here to help your community. And I just wanted to briefly tell you what that assistance is, and also to let you know I met this morning with the mayor and his staff. We're putting together an information session for this coming Monday from 2 to 6 p.m. at the Senior Center here in Cranston. And FEMA and SBA will be there to talk with people and explain the program. Now, it's not going to help all these poor people here because that disaster hasn't been declared yet. But if they wanted to come and learn about the program, we'll have people there that can explain, about federal disaster assistance. So later, if there is a declaration, they'll know kind of what they can apply for. So I hope I just want to clear that up with you when as I'm starting. So anyway, in times of disaster, SBA provides very low interest disaster loans for homeowners, renters, businesses of all sizes, and nonprofit organizations. If you're a business owner, you probably got an SBA loan for COVID-19 and you probably heard about this, but this is like a regular disaster. It's a little different than COVID-19. FEMA's here too, and they're doing disaster grants, things that homeowners and renters don't have to pay back. With SBA, it's a loan, but it's a super low interest loan with interest rates as low as 2.5% for homeowners and renters, as low as 4% for businesses, and 2.375% for nonprofits. And that's like food banks, churches, the YMCA, okay? So people don't really want to get a loan. They'd rather have a grant, but these are good loans because there's no repayment for the first year after you get your first disbursement. And there's no interest accrual during that time. And the interest, the terms are 30 years. So the payment is actually very low. And there's no collateral on these loans for $25,000 or less. So I encourage you, if you were somebody who had damage back in September, to come and talk to us and apply for this assistance. It will cover insurance deductibles. If you had to replace your car because of the flood and you got an interest, you got a loan with higher interest, you can use our loan to pay that other loan off. It's a really great loan direct from the federal treasury. So that's what we offer. Now, the state and the governor put in for disaster declarations. So everything these people have gone through, I don't know what's happening if they're applying. SBA has direct declarations. If there are 25 major uninsured properties, you can apply straight to SBA and not go through the FEMA process. So that's an option. And I just want you to know we really care for you. We're here working and we want to help your community learn about what's available. And we have 4 centers open right now where people can get help. And there are 2 disaster recovery centers where you can get both FEMA and SBA assistance at the Johnston Senior Center and Cumberland Town Hall. And then we have 2 business recovery centers at the North Providence Public Safety Complex and Weaver Library through the 26th, through, I think, what day is that, Friday or whatever? So if anybody wants to talk with me, I can meet you outside and answer questions, and I'd be happy to come back on the agenda and give you like loan approval application numbers, that kind of thing. Anything I can do to help, okay? Thank you so much. Bye. Oh, one other quick thing, sba.gov/disaster is how you can learn more about this program. Thanks.
And I'm sorry, Ms. Garrett, just want to make note, you provided everyone at the outset of the meeting with a handout relative to what you just mentioned about the SBA and FEMA assistance. So if I could have a motion just to accept that into the record.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Any
Thank you.
discussion? There being none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Renzulli,
Yes.
Councilman Campopiano,
Yes.
Councilman Paplaskas,
Yes.
Councilman Wall,
Yes.
Council Vice President Vargas,
Yes.
Council President Marino.
Yes. Is there anyone else in chambers that wishes to speak on any undocketed matters this evening?
Good evening, council members. My name is Edward M. Lannon. I reside at 132 Fortson Avenue, apartment 4. Basically, mine's going to be very brief. Hopefully, you can reach out to our congressional delegation, Senator Whitehouse, Senator Reid, and Congressman Magaziner, to implore upon them to get the president to move forward with a disaster relief for this area. My wife and I were more fortunate than many others. Did you get what I've already said? Okay, thank you. Okay. Basically, what I'm saying is hopefully you can reach out to them to implore the president to do disaster relief, because my wife and I are more fortunate than others. We have a place to live. Many of these people do not. And I think it's something that has to be done to rectify the situation as best we can. That's all I have to say. Thank you very much.
Hi, my name is Brian Santamaria. I'm with the SBA, and I also work alongside with FEMA. I just want to add as well that FEMA is providing housing assistance, so I recommend to go down to a disaster recovery center, and if you're displaced, they can either help you out with housing. Thank you.
There being no one else in chambers, is there anyone on Zoom, Tom, that wishes to be heard on undocketed matters?
A reminder to the public, please use the raise hand function in order to speak. There is no public comment.
Thank you. Public comment is now closed. I just want to clarify for members of the public, we can only speak as a council on docketed matters, so we cannot speak to the topics that were mentioned in undocketed discussion this evening. I would ask Council Vice President Vargas, as Chair of the Public Works Committee, and the clerk to add to the agenda for February 15th, Public Works, a topic for us to discuss the flooding events in September and up to the current time that have occurred throughout the city, and what remedies are available in terms of FEMA and state assistance, the status of that, as well as what remediation, mitigation, just an update overall. Okay. Thanks. So just for members of the public, on February 15th, the Public Works Committee, which will be at 6 p.m., you can join via Zoom or in person. We will discuss the topic of the flooding at that time, okay? All right, and Council Vice President Vargas, did you want to mention something?
Yes, absolutely. First and foremost, yes, Council President, I agree to Public Works Committee and continue. We can also add trash removal as well on there to the agenda on this property. That would also be greatly appreciated to the clerk. Thank you.
Right, next this evening is election appointment of city officials. We have the reappointment of John Skrupski by Mayor Hopkins as tree warden for the year of 2024. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Actually, I'm going to defer to legal counsel. I don't believe we need to vote on this. Is that correct? Okay. All right, so we can just withdraw the motion.
I will withdraw my motion.
Okay. Next this evening, we have the appointment of Kirk McDonough as Democratic Board Member of the Cranston Board of Canvassers for a term to expire March 3, 2025, as nominated by Mayor Hopkins. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Okay, any discussion? There being none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Renzulli,
Yes.
Councilman Campopiano,
Yes.
Councilman Paplaskas,
Yes.
Councilman Wall,
Yes.
Council Vice President Vargas,
Yes.
Council President Marino.
Yes. The next agenda item, appointment of Richard Boehm as Democratic alternate of the Cranston Board of Canvassers. That is not going to be heard this evening. He has withdrawn himself from nomination, so that will not be heard this evening. Next, we have under Executive Communications, the legal expense analysis for the period of July 1 to January 17, 2024. Do any council members have any questions for the administration relative to that report? All right. Solicitor Verdecchia, if I could, I just want to make note of a couple of items. Maybe we can report back to Solicitor Malay, because I'm sure you may not have the information this evening. Previously, we had meetings, and I'm still seeing that certain firms are not included on the legal expense report. Attorney Lepitzera is one, and we still don't see him on the report. That needs to be corrected. I'd like to know what the status is of that. And then also, I know that bond counsel from Taft and McSally has been hired by the city and conducted work, and I don't see any legal expenses from that firm as well. And those are just two that we know of. So what I'm going to do is I'll reach out, send an email to Councilman Donegan and the clerk. I'm going to ask at the next Finance Committee meeting on February 5th that this is going to need to be discussed in terms of the legal expenses and the accuracy of this report. Thanks. Thanks. Yes, the clerk. Sure.
I don't, it's, correct me if I'm wrong, Madam President, it's just the same thing that we've already got in the legal expense document. You're not seeking any type of substantive legal information. It's simply a figure and nothing more. Am I correct?
Correct. It's just limited to the billing, the invoicing, which is public and public record. Thanks. Next this evening, we have from Planning Director Pizzullo, status on the comprehensive plan. See you, Director Pizzullo. If you could please provide us with an update, we'd appreciate it. Thank you.
The public forum is going to be canceled on Wednesday. The issue was raised over the weekend about remote access for the charrette. It was never intended that the charrette was going to have a Zoom component or a hybrid component, just based upon the format of the meeting. So When I spoke to the solicitors, they said that, spoke to Solicitor Chris Millay and Steve Marcella. And they felt that the ordinance as written needs to be amended based upon the format of these types of meetings. Remote access and a Zoom meeting for a public form of such as that it's really never been done for the charrette format. It's never been done in Rhode Island, at least. And when I spoke to the consultant, she basically echoed what I'm saying, is that it's almost impossible to gather the public data that you want to get from people, have the public discussions, but also do it in a hybrid format. So, you know, I think that we need to discuss an amendment to that ordinance over the next month and move forward. We're going to try to reschedule and do some type of meeting in the meantime. All the while we are moving forward with writing of the chapters and updating the data and everything else like that. So not much else new on that end, but this was unexpected. You know, the meeting was non-traditional in a non-typical format. And we felt that it was closer in line to something like how we handle the site walks. Those are meetings that are posted, Secretary of State. We have agendas, we have to have minutes. But there isn't an expectation that there's going to be a live stream or hybrid participation in the charrettes based upon how these are broken out into different topical areas, different moderators, simultaneous overlapping conversations. It just does not work to do the Zoom meetings. Those were a necessity a few years ago, but there's certainly a convenience now, but at this point, the way it's written, it's not going to help public engagement, and it's not going to help get more people to participate. I firmly feel that way. The consultant feels the same way, that we're not going to get, you know, more comments or better comments through some type of a Zoom webinar with breakout rooms. It's antithetical to the types of process that goes into the charrette, where you really have to engage your neighbors and discuss these topical areas and then come up with ideas. It just doesn't work in that type of format. So in the meantime, we're going to reschedule. We have to figure that out and what we're going to do, but we're remaining on target in terms of time frame, but we need to fix that ordinance.
Do any council members have questions for the director? Councilwoman Renzulli?
Thank you. This is not a question, more of a comment. If you want to look at Smart Growth America or the charrette, the National Charrette Institute, they do have some virtual options, but otherwise it could just be streamed as long as there's video so that other people can hear what is being discussed. That is the spirit of the law.
Right. The problem is the overlapping discussions. So it's not one discussion where somebody can sign in. It'd be 8 tables
So
of
record them.
overlapping discussions.
So record them.
So, right.
I just think we can
There's
be
discussion
creative
we can
here.
have about that.
Mm.
It's certainly not ideal. It's absolutely not ideal. It's not something we would use as a first step to say, this is what we should be doing. These are in-person meetings with the public to discuss things in person to, you know, if there was a necessity, we had to do it like that. I think that we'd have no other choice, but that is not a first choice by any means.
I just want to communicate that if people can't necessarily participate, but they can then listen and watch what's discussed, even people who are saying Group A want to hear what was discussed in Group B because they do have interest and they can't be in 2 places at once. Having that recording, I can't really understand while it might be challenging, we'll have to be creative. It's not impossible. And this is like years in the making. And I don't know why there are other places who can get creative and there's just this pushback.
Pushback is that it's not the best way of engaging people to have online type of hybrid. It just is. It's not ideal. It's not ideal by any stretch. It doesn't get us more comments. It doesn't get us better comments. The idea that we would have to set up 8, 10 cameras, we'd have 10 streams going simultaneously during a meeting like this so that somebody can sign into all these different things, 10 different moderators who have to, it's very complex what you're discussing. And is it possible? Somewhere, somehow, it's possible. But it is certainly not what we were looking to do for this. When I say we, the consultant who does this in many different communities, they've never heard or seen any communities locally go down this road and have a public forum like this that's not in person.
We had public forums and we had to discuss, I believe it was ARPA spending. And we did it in a similar fashion that we're doing kind of right now. And while it is easier to meet in small groups, that it's not something that we've ever done because we're under the impression that we can't, because we need to be, the public needs to hear what we're saying. So we don't meet in small groups like that. So I don't know if there is any way to just expand off of what you're doing. If what you're saying is absolutely the only way possible to gain public comment. And I think it's not accurate for you to say that this will not garner more public comment when you're just increasing the amount of people who could hear or participate. Even if they wanted to hear it and then they had to write in, they had to email their comments. They're not getting to hear it unless they can be here. A lot of people, as we know, are working 2, 3 jobs, cannot be here make dinner for children, are single parents, are taking kids all over the place. They are the people who have children growing in this community and are really affected by the comprehensive plan over the next 10 years. So we're trying to, if the purpose is to get more comment, more participation, and be more transparent, because that's what we say all the time, then we might need to actually do that.
The consultant who does this for a living in many different communities over a number of years disagrees with this idea. Okay, it's not me saying this, it's the consultant when I spoke to them. It doesn't garner the same type of discussion. It doesn't garner the same type of comments, and it's not the same process. Okay, it's not about the public listening to us. It's about us listening to the public. It's very different. It's, everyone's watching us and the council. It's about only listening to the public. So to do that in a hybrid format is very challenging, and to get people to participate and actually have the discussions that need to happen, it's difficult. Now, what I'm saying is, you're saying, can we stream it? Can we do breakout groups? Yes. Is it effective? When I spoke to our consultant who's been doing this, they say, no, it's not effective. Okay, it's possible, but it's not effective. So that's where this all comes from. So, these, we'll be doing more of these into the future. And it's very difficult to do streaming hybrid participation because it's not this type of forum. It's very, very different. So we'll have to figure something out, but I don't think we're going to get more participation or better participation or more conversations through that process through Zoom. We all got used to doing that because it was a necessity during COVID. We're not in COVID anymore. So.
Council Vice President Vargas.
Thank you, Council President. Director Pizzulo, just have a few questions and perhaps you'd be able to answer them today, and if not, perhaps via email is perfectly fine. I think a lot of us, obviously, we're looking forward to Wednesday's meeting that was taking place, because it's definitely long overdue, and a lot of us here on the council advocated for the dollars to be used towards providing bidding for a consultant, so obviously to process the comprehensive plan. Can I ask you, had Wednesday taken place, what were the next steps after that? In other words, what is the update as to what the consultant has been providing? Wednesday would have been at the senior center. What would be the next action steps after that meeting had taken place?
Well, they're writing the plan as we speak. We've gotten draft elements from the consultant. Staff is working on those internally. Staff is working on updating the goals, policies, objectives from all the elements. A lot of outdated things that we have to excise from the plan. After we hear from the public, and that's what Wednesday's meeting was for, that's a requirement of the state that we have to have a public forum like that. The Plan Commission will continue to hold, hearings on the elements throughout the winter into spring. And our timeline was to get you the draft, early summer. That's the goal, is to get it to the council in sometime in June was the goal. And we're on target for that. But we have to do this forum.
So the next step is putting a forum in place for the public to attend, and based on the feedback that you're getting from the forum, you will, or a consultant will help establish the goals of then putting together a schedule of additional forums within each ward.
No,
We're not doing that at all here. in the city.
not during phase one. There's no time for that. State law that set us on this wild path with the timeline, it's not a possibility. Okay, that's just not a possibility. That will be happening in phase two. Okay, we have much more time to gauge the public, because that's when we're going to be doing more of the amendments to the goals and policies. We're not trying to make overhaul decisions on phase one. It's really an update, but we still have to hear from the public. It's phase two, and we're going to make the policy decisions. So there should be very little policy decisions we have to make. Things that will change are things that have changed in state guide plan that have to change. But, we're not coming up with a new future land use map in phase one. We're not doing that.
When would phase two kick in roughly based on your conversations with the
By the
consultant?
time the council
estimate?
finishes phase one and adopts it and gets it off to the state, then we will commence phase two, probably in the summer into the fall. We're going to start into phase two.
And so I am so sorry to the public that's here with us this evening. I apologize, but I'm having a tough time hearing our director. So
I'm going to interject. If members of the Ron, I got it. If members of the public, if you want to have conversations, we just ask if you could please step outside, because it makes it difficult for people to hear one another and the stenographer to hear people speaking. No, I understand it's unintentional, so we just want to make an awareness. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. So there's different phases. I just want to make sure that for those that are either here with us this evening, whether it's on Zoom, in the chamber, or those that will be watching later on, that there are multiple phases. And I know we've had this conversation in the past, but I just want to understand phase one is what we're currently in. The idea is to obviously go into phase two down the line. And so how many phases do we have within the comprehensive plan?
There's only two phases.
Only
Two phases. Phase two will be, we'll take the time to really update the plan. Okay, we're updating the data in the plan in phase one. Phase two is really where we get into the goals and policies and objectives for the next 10, 20 years. That's,
I'm hearing again, during phase two, we're not going to really get input from the public
we are,
again.
no,
Oh,
we are,
Oh,
we are. Phase one is very truncated because of the state mandated guideline and the deadline, all this. So, created kind of an artificial, bifurcation of this process. We would not be doing this process like this, barring the state law change. Like, that would not have been happening at all. It would have been a long process of working with the public first and then revising the plan. Because of the state law and the deadline, we have to get the plan updated by the summer, and there's no time to spend an hour and a year working with the public on, different public forums. So this is the only forum really that we're going to have in this phase.
So, just for clarity, and I don't want to kind of prolong this, but at the same time, we're going to be working, or you and the consultants will be working on finding, I don't know if you're going to stay with the same location or not. I'm just being mindful of parking as well. In that location, I think you want it because you're going to break out into rooms and the space is a little bigger. But other than that, I know that you've been relying on a lot of us as well as the community to make sure that we share that this event's taking place. When you're working with your consultant, was there anything in the paper, and I could have missed it, if there was anything in the paper or anywhere else as well on getting the word out, other than also utilizing our local nonprofits to engage folks and let them know about this?
Yes, it wasn't in the paper, but we've been engaging with local nonprofits, social media, the website, things like that. That's where we're getting the most, I think, penetration. And I think the Herald is less so, having an ad in the Herald.
Okay.
Having a story in the paper is a little bit more useful than having an ad in the paper.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Once that data is in place, that'd be great. As a matter of fact, I'd be happy going with any of the members of the council, as well as yourself and anyone else, to the Latino radio stations as well. Maybe do a big campaign and let everybody know this is the next place. This is a big hurrah. And so the comprehensive plan, which in Spanish is called Plan Integral, be happy to do that as well to get folks coming into the community. I kind of understand what Councilwoman Renzulli is saying, but at the same time, and understanding what you're also providing us, that this is a phase one and we're very limited. There's a lot of stuff that we have to do based on state compliances as well. Wondering if there's any other creative ways that we can drastically bring folks in and helping you out as well. Please feel free also to reach out to any one of us to continue to share the information, and that's it's developing in your within your neck of the woods, so that we can also do our parts, and all the members here in the public. I'm not sure if anybody here knows what a comprehensive plan is or not, but ideally, we are putting together a community plan to manage the growth and change and zoning and everything else within our city here in the city of Cranston. And so it's outdated, but I think we're still living within the one that we currently have. And this is the opportunity for each and one of you to really engage on the city of Cranston and its future for the next, was it 10 years, Director, or so? Depending, I don't know, the lifelong.
10 years, yes.
About 10 years. So I want to make sure that folks get engaged and that we can do everything that we can on our end, on our due diligence. We're in the hats that we wear to engage as many people as possible within the city of Cranston to make sure that this actually moves forward. So I look forward to hearing from you when that next date is. But I do feel that we should, anything else that we can do to engage the public, this is a great opportunity to get involved until we get into that phase two period. Thank you.
Any other members of the council wish to be heard, or any questions for the director? Okay, Director Pizzullo, I want to thank you for your efforts along with the Plan Commission, and just to sum up what you've explained this evening for those who are not aware, this phase one is updating. That's what the state requires us to do, basically, to put it in simple terms, in order for our current comprehensive plan to be viable and useful as a tool for the city. And that update needs to occur by this summer.
That's correct.
Okay, and you stated this evening that you and the Plan Commission are on track in terms of accomplishing that goal. Part of that process is the requirement of a community workshop with respect to that updating, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And in the meantime, you and your department, along with the contractor, I think it's Weston Sampson Group that was hired, is working and doing what you need to do to accomplish that goal. The phase two is the goals and policies, the bigger overhaul, which is much more traditional and more commonly known, where the city will be conducting the public workshops throughout the different parts of the city in order to engage all of those parts of the community, and that will be a longer process, correct?
That's right. Yes.
Okay. In terms of the workshop, I was disappointed, as I'm sure everyone was, including yourself, Director Pizzulo, that it's not going to be going forward this Wednesday. In terms of having online engagement, I can speak from my own experience. You know, since COVID and going forward, I've been on many a forum in which there are virtual meeting rooms, and perhaps what I could see take place with respect to this community workshop is that you have the live session, you do your breakouts, okay? And before you do your breakouts, you have an open mic, you have the convening of the meeting, you do the breakouts, and those you won't hear the individual content just as people in the room wouldn't, but you will have a room online on Zoom. And people online can be in virtual rooms. Because my understanding and just from my experience is that then once those individual breakout sessions occur, then the groups all convene to share what their ideas are for everyone to see. So when each individual group is reporting back, those online should be able to hear that person representing that individual group in the room, et cetera. So I don't pretend to have all the answers. I'm just trying, as I normally do, to move the ball forward and make things happen. So I'm hoping that you can communicate with Tom, who does an outstanding job with communications for city council and the other departments, and coordinate something so that we can accomplish this.
I just want to clarify.
Sure.
The entire session is breakout. There isn't a session, a breakout, and then come back and everybody shares. That's not what these sessions are. So we can have these discussions offline, but it's going to be very difficult to do this with the existing ordinance and having to have this online presence. It's really shackling. So
I just want to make the point, even if it's what you describe as each individual group is on their own, well, then even those in the same room, then group one won't know what group four says. That would be no different than online with those virtual rooms, and you will just be collecting that data from them and then just convene the meeting. That would suffice. That would solve the problem. It would be a quick remedy and
Right.
move this forward quickly.
It's a remedy, but it's not an ideal one by any stretch. It's just this is coming from the consultant. When I described what our challenge is, her experience is that this is far from what we wanted to accomplish in our one forum. To do with this an online webinar thing. This is far from what we envisioned.
Again, it would be an addendum. I know it's not ideal, but there should be further discussions and, whatever needs to be done to accomplish this. Changing the ordinance, I haven't had discussions with legal. I don't know that that's their interpretation. I'm a little surprised that's their interpretation of it, that it couldn't convene at all. But we can have those discussions. As you well know, changing the ordinance to allow for this type of workshop is not a simple, easy fix because of the notice requirement in terms of posting the agenda, going to committee, et cetera. So I look forward to maybe speaking to you later this week so that we can have an idea as to where things stand and what needs to be done. Thanks. I appreciate it. Okay. Moving on this evening, we next have.
Council President,
Did-
may I say something?
Sure.
Thank you. I totally agree with what you just said, and that is what I tried to explain to the director, through email when I brought this up. Also, there is supposed to be a presentation at the beginning of the meeting, as far as I saw on the agenda, from the consultant, in which the people who are online could hear that presentation. I will not believe anyone who says that having more ways for people to participate is not going to get more people to participate. Because even if 5 people go into a breakout room online, that's 5 more people that are not impeding on the rest of the groups doing this. So that is a completely ridiculous idea. And perhaps what we are saying is not being conveyed to the consultant exactly as we intend it, because the director obviously disagrees. So I just want to say that if we could be creative during COVID, and people have continued to be creative since then, so much of the country has never even gone back to work. They've gone remote. We can figure this out. So we've waited years to do this, push the money. Now we're doing it in a weird phase system that's not ideal either, but we're still doing it. So we need to do this. We don't change a law to accommodate a meeting. We work around the law and change the meeting. Thank you, Council President.
Next up this evening is consideration of request for Major Quirk for 1-year continuation of service with the Cranston Police Department for the period of September 8th, 2023 to September 8th, 2024. Does anyone from the administration want to be heard on that this evening?
Director Moretti did not address this issue with me, Madam President, but I think I'm safe in assuming that obviously the administration would want this approved.
Thank you. Does anyone wish to be heard? Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? All right, just want to thank Major Quirk for his dedication to our police department. And clerk, if you can please take the roll.
Councilwoman Renzulli.
Yes.
Councilman Campopiano.
Yes.
Councilman Paplaskas.
Yes.
Councilman Wall.
Yes.
Council Vice President Vargas.
Yes.
Council President Marino.
Yes. Okay. Next this evening, I have under my communications, looking for an update from the administration regarding the status of the city's participation in the Rhode Island Infrastructure Bank's Community Septic System Loan Program. I know the council previously passed a resolution and that the administration is committed to having Cranston participate in this program. But recently it came to my attention that we have not yet signed up. So just wondering, Solicitor Videcchia, if he informed you of the status.
So again, Madam President, I communicated with Director Moretti today, and he sent me, he memorialized part of the conversation we had, and I can relay this information. He indicated that DEM has approved the city's on-site wastewater management plan, which apparently is a prerequisite for qualifying in the Infrastructure Bank Community Septic System Loan Program. So now that approval has been gained, the application, I guess, has been formally submitted and it's pending approval.
Thank you, Solicitor. I know from months back when the resolution was passed, I had discussions with Director Moretti, and at that time I was informed that they had completed that DEM wastewater management engineering report, and I was under the belief that that was submitted. And the only holdup at that time was just the legal aspect relative to the loan program, because the funding is done through Rhode Island Housing, and there just needed to be a coordination between them and the legal department and the city's finance department, because they would be tasked with handling the applications relative to the loans. I was surprised to hear that we're at the same place we were basically over 6 months ago. I know that it was only today, this afternoon, that the application was submitted to the Rhode Island Infrastructure Bank. And for that reason, my ability to have trust and good faith is now not there. So I would like to have this matter placed, Council Vice President, on the Public Works agenda to find out where it stands. And I will also ask the clerk to add it to the full council meeting for next month to know where it stands and what the exact timetable is. Part of this came to light because a constituent who is in need, and this was something that we foresaw, and this is why we wanted to have this program in place. And now this individual may not be able to avail themselves because it hasn't been completed yet. So we need to have a realistic idea as the time frame.
I will relay that to the director.
Thank you. Next, under council member communications, Council Vice President Vargas.
Thank you, Council President. Administration. Oh, sorry. Not sure what happens with this thing. Okay, thank you. All right. So what I was gonna say was, Patuxent Village Bike Rack, I've been working with the administration, one, on requesting at least one or two racks over in Patuxent Village. There's no bike racks currently. We know, obviously riding your bike into around the city, into the village, or so reduces the number of cars and harmful pollutants into the atmosphere. So I've been really big on advocating for this. I did meet with Director Moretti, where he did actually state that they were ordering 2 bike racks. So I want to appreciate the administration for working with me on that. So when this had been placed on the docket, I didn't know exactly where the locations were going to be, but I've been in exchanging communication with the interim director of Public Works. So we're looking for one. There's one proposed location of which we're going to check this week whether or not it works for those that live in the village that are wondering where the bike rack is going to go. So I just wanted to thank the administration. So this is kind of all set. The next item that I had on here is waste management contract, trash recycling collection. Council President, can I continue right on to that item? Thank you. I do want to continue this to the Public Works Committee that's on February 15th. It looks like we're going to be having our pretty heavy agenda that evening. But I do appreciate having one of the members of of Ward 1, one of the residents who was on Zoom this evening. And so he was one of the few folks who actually had reached out in terms of the bins, broken bins sometimes, they get displaced. I'm not sure how waste management is just bringing them down, or wheels that are broken. If the wheels are broken, how do we replace them? What is the process? If there is a delay in trash, how do we communicate that with the public? And so there's a lot of questions that I have. I did request of the administration to get an updated copy of the contract for waste management. And so I did receive it this afternoon, late this afternoon. I have it in my inbox now. It's at least well over maybe 91, 92 pages. So I want to take the time to go through that contract and then ask the questions that I need to ask, not just on the collection, but also on the hydraulic liquid that we're seeing or hearing of complaints of the trucks kind of spilling some of their fluid around the city. So I am going to continue. So for the resident that's with us on Zoom this evening, I have that contract. I'm going to give that a read. There seems to be a lot more than just waste management not picking up, having delays or any other problem that I'm hearing. But I want to give them the opportunity as well, if we need to also bring them in if needed, at all for any show cause if possible. So that being said, I want to make sure the resident is well aware that it's not that I don't want to discuss this further. Just got the contract this afternoon. And I really think I should be fine tooth combing that before I continue to ask questions, ahead of time. So I will continue to the 15th, and the administration also is not here, nor is the Director of Public Works, that I can ask any questions with that this evening. So to the clerk, if you don't mind adding that to the Public Works Committee on the 15th, that would be appreciated. That's all that I have for this evening. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you. Next, this evening, we have introduction of new business. I would ask for a motion to take these matters as a block to be referred to their committee.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? There being none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Renzulli.
Yes.
Councilman Campopiano.
Yes.
Councilman Paplaskas.
Yes.
Councilman Wall.
Yes.
Council Vice President Vargas.
Yes.
Council President Marino.
Yes. Next, entertain a motion to move the block, all these matters, to the relative committees.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? There being none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Renzulli.
Yes.
Councilman Campopiano. Councilman Paplaskas.
Yes.
Councilman Wall.
Yes.
Council Vice President Vargas.
Yes.
Council President Marino.
Yes. Okay. Now, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Good evening.